Our Operation Spiderweb yesterday proved that Russia must feel what its losses mean. When Russia takes losses in this war, it's obvious to everyone that Ukraine is the one holding the line, not just for itself, but for all of you. Ask your intelligence, what is Russia planning this summer in Belarus? If they are bold enough to prepare attacks from there, then we need more strength together. If Russia undermines even this initial agenda, and if the Istanbul meeting brings nothing, that clearly means strong new sanctions are urgently needed from the EU's 18th package and from the United States, specifically the strongest sanctions President Trump promised. Thank you so much. Thank you, first of all, for invitations, Thank you for support. This is a special moment. On the one hand, Russia has launched its summer offensive, but on the other hand, they are being forced to engage in diplomacy. And this is both a challenge and a real opportunity for us all, a chance to try to end this war. First, as before, our top priority is supporting our defense, and I'm grateful for all the support packages and for every investment in weapons production in Ukraine and for the development of production in your countries as well. Europe, together with America, has better weapons than Russia. We also have stronger tactical solutions. Our Operation Spiderweb yesterday proved that Russia must feel what its losses mean. That is what will push it toward diplomacy. And when Russia takes losses in this war, it's obvious to everyone that Ukraine is the one holding the line, not just for itself, but for all of you. Ask your intelligence, what is Russia planning this summer in Belarus? If they are bold enough to prepare attacks from there, then we need more strength together. And right now, that means strengthening Ukraine so we can stop this war and prevent it from spreading. That's why weapons production matters. Ukraine can cover up to 40% of its weapons need with domestic production, but this requires stable funding. Our operations show how much impact investments, especially in drones, can have. And we still urgently need air defense, especially Patriot systems and missiles for them. Each of you knows what we need and what you can do to help. Decisions are needed. Second, we must do everything to make sure diplomacy is not empty. Our delegation is now in Istanbul, and we are ready to take the necessary steps for peace. Naturally, the starting point should be a ceasefire and harm humanitarian actions, the release of prisoners, and the return of abducted children. And all key issues can be resolved at the level of leaders. And if Russia undermines even this initial agenda, and if the Istanbul meeting brings nothing, that clearly means strong new sanctions are urgently needed from the EU's 18th package and from the United States, specifically the strongest sanctions President Trump promised. Sanctions should hit Russian energy, especially oil and tankers, price caps, of course, and also Russian banks and the financial sector overall. Through the United States, thank you to everyone doing everything possible to keep the bond between Europe and America strong. We need the support of President Trump, the US Congress, and the American people. Whatever happens in global competition, it is our shared duty, Europe's, America's, and everyone who values freedom, to defend it together. We need as many points of connection as possible, including at the NATO summit this June. And one of the key principles of European security is that Russia must not have veto power over NATO decisions or influence over the allies or its members. That principle must remain in place. Euro-Atlantic security is the business of Euro-Atlantic nations. Putin chose to stand against Europe, so he has no place in deciding its future, and that must not change. It's important to confirm at the NATO summit in June that the allies stay strong and that Europe will not give up its own security. And of course, I would also like to discuss the details of our work within the coalition of the willing and the security guarantees as well. We need to make this coalition strong. But we'll talk about that, I think, behind closed doors. Thank you so much again.
I wish you good health, dear Ukrainians. I have just received a report from the head of the Security Service of Ukraine, Vasyl Malyuk. A brilliant operation was carried out on enemy territory, targeting exclusively military objectives specifically. The equipment that was used in strikes against Ukraine, Russia has suffered very significant losses, and these losses are absolutely fair and well-deserved. I thank the Security Service personnel, General Malyuk, and everyone who was involved in the operation. The operation was prepared for more than a year and a half. The planning, organizational, the details were perfectly arranged. It can be said with confidence that this is an absolutely unique operation. The most interesting thing, and this can already be said public lies, that the headquarters of our operation on Russian territory was located directly next to the FSB administration in one of their regions. In total, 117 drones were used in the operation, and a corresponding number of drone operators were involved. 34% of the strategic cruise missile carriers at their home airfields were hit. Our people operated in various Russian regions across 3 time zones, and our people were withdrawn from Russian territory before the operation. They are safe now, those who helped us. It is truly satisfying when things I authorized a year and 6 months ago are working and taking more than 40 units of strategic aviation away from the Russians. We will continue this work. Even before the start of this operation, we had intelligence about the preparation of another massive Russian strike. And this is very important for all our people. Do not ignore air raid alerts. Last night, there were nearly 500 Russian drones, attack drones. Every week, they increased the number of units per strike. Now they have also prepared Kalibr missiles from sea-based carriers. We understand who we are dealing with. We will defend ourselves by every means available to us, available to Ukraine, available to Ukrainians. Not for a single second did we want this war. We offered the Russians a ceasefire. Since March 11, the American proposal for a complete unconditional ceasefire has been on the table. It was the Russians who chose to continue the war, even under such circumstances, when the whole world is demanding an end to the killing. And real pressure is needed, pressure on Russia that will bring it back to reality. Sanctions pressure, the pressure from our forces, the pressure from diplomats of it must work together. Today, I held a lengthy meeting with the Minister of Defense of Ukraine, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, the head of my office, the heads of our intelligence agencies. We discussed exactly what we expect from the meeting in Istanbul on Monday. We continue to propose a complete, unconditional ceasefire and all appropriate and rational steps that can bring lasting and reliable peace. The Ukrainian proposal that we have given to the Russians is logical and realistic. The Russians have not handed over their memorandum to anyone. We don't have it. The Turkish side doesn't have it. Nor does the American side. There is no Russian document. Despite this, we will try to achieve at least some progress on the path to peace. Today, there was a report from Commander-in-Chief Syrskyi on the front on our Kursk operation. I am grateful to all our units. Resilience on the ground is just as important as our operations on enemy territory, which are so inspiring. And one more thing. Today, the Russians launched a missile strike on a training camp in the Dnipro region. Unfortunately, there are losses. Our soldiers have been killed. My condolences to all their families and loved ones. This is not the first such strike in which Ukraine has lost people. I have scheduled a meeting with, among others, Mikhailo Drapachi, Andriy Khnatov, Alexander Syrskyi, and Defense Minister Umerov upon his return from negotiations in Istanbul to address all of this. All our combat men are needed at the front, defending Ukraine. We must protect every single life. All the necessary decisions to achieve this will be made. Thank you to everyone who helps. Thank you to everyone who stands with Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine.